Hey, what's up everyone? Today I'm gonna be fixing my lip on my car. I was dropping off the kids at school and they ended up I ended up hitting a little grate on the ground that hit the lip, so it cracked it right there. It didn't break off, but it almost broke off. So what I'm gonna do is probably use some plastic weld and a soldering iron and some JB Weld plastic fix, and then I'm gonna try to put it all back together. It's actually painted. I've got it. It is painted the same color as the bumper, but I put some Plastidip on it, the metalizer with the gray Plastidip, just to get it a little bit contrast versus the rest of the bumper. So I'll go through that whole process of fixing this, and we'll see how it looks. I think I'm gonna end up sanding it down, and I might just spray it with a base coat, clear coat that I have laying around for the same color as the car, and we'll see how that goes out. Thanks. I dropped all my screws. You see them right here, and the lip dropped down pretty easily. If you guys watch some of my other videos, me putting this lip on, I actually drilled a bunch of new holes on here, because this thing doesn't come drilled with this 3IS bumper from Icon Motorsports. So I ended up using the OEM screws right here, and these nylon, these square nylon. These are actually OEM type. I ordered a bunch of these online for a couple cents each, so I used those. And then in addition, I actually used 4 of these regular self-tapping, well, they're OEM type screws, also usually used for linings and stuff. So I used 4 of these with these little metal clamps on the back, and I'll take them off. Here's the back side of these other screws that I use. So I just screws right in these, but you can usually find these at hardware stores or Lowe's. They usually you put them in between the plastic, and you get the self tapper through, so it holds as an anchor through. So I'm using 4 of these to hold the lip down. Got the front lip off, and I lowered the car down. Man, that thing looks garbage without the front lip. I'm so used to being on there with 2 inches out the ground. Now I got like a 4-6 inch ground clearance on that, but looks so ugly without a front lip. Looks like a dude without his chin. Anyway, so I'm probably gonna drive around like that for a while until I get this front lip all bonded together, prepped, and then painted, so I can put it back on. But yeah, see how ugly it looks in the profile without the front lip sticking out. So I've got this thing on the rack. You guys see it, that bump that I hit wasn't even that bad. It was just a little grate on the ground. My wheel hit, it kind of dropped. This thing hit the edge of the grate and pushed it back, but ended up scratching up this is all that Plastidip that I had painted it before. So I'm going to end up peeling all that off. You can tell where it cracked. I was never too impressed by this lip anyways. It was a much harder, almost like an ABS plastic instead of a polypropylene, but that thing just cracked. It was inevitable. Once I hit something with it, it would crack anyways. But anyway, so I'm gonna probably end up repairing it with some plastic weld, the soldering plastic weld, and then some JB Weld plastic. I think it's a plastic epoxy. It's about $5. I ordered it, but once I get that in, I'll get this working and prepped and repainted. I'm gonna do the Plastidip again. That's one of the reasons why, even though I did pay to get this painted the same color as the car when I got the bumper, I was always gonna plan to Plastidip it anyway. So we peeled off all the Plastidip. You see the nice shiny mint black paint that this lip was never really exposed to because I Plastidipped it right after I got it back from the paint shop. But anyway, so there won't be much prep really to refinish this thing. I've got my own base coat and clear coat, same color as the car, that I spray out of a gun. So I'll kind of do a DIY home paint job on this. It probably won't come out as smooth and shiny as this, but it'll be better than nothing. Here's the crack. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up taping this so right on this side, and then I'm going to do the repair on the underside with the soldering iron, melt the plastic, use some stainless steel screen to kind of get it get the strength in there, and then on this top side I'll try to keep it as flush as possible, and then end up I'm gonna have to sand down this crack, probably put some kind of filler in there to get rid of it and to hide the seam, and then sand it smooth. So I taped up the seam just to get this nice and straight and get some strength to it, and then I'm going to start the repair on the back side here by probably end up get a drill out, sand that seam right where the crack is at to kind of create some spot, and then start melting it down and joining it together. Alright, so all my parts came in for this repair. I picked up this JB Weld Plastic Bond, went to Home Depot, picked up some of this aluminum grate, ordered this soldering iron from Amazon. I have soldering irons at home, but I needed this little flat tip that you see here to kind of do a flat weld, and I didn't feel like ordering any more tips for my other soldering irons since it was over $10 or $15 for soldering tips. I think this whole kit right here was about $10 or $12, so I got several different tips, all the other junk that I might use for soldering other things, and a little stand. So I figured it's cheaper than just buying tips from my other. So I'm gonna get working on this. Take out the drill mold. I'm gonna drill down this line a little, get a little groove into there so that the weld can stick better. I'm gonna use some zip tie plastic to see how well that bonds to this plastic. It's since it's that hard plastic, I think that the zip tie plastic might work pretty well. I think I saw it online somewhere that's what people were using on this on polypropylene or this plastic to try to weld it back together. I'll see how well that does. Alright, so I trimmed a couple pieces of screen right here to kind of make my reinforcement on this back side. I'm going to use that there. I'll tuck this one, the upper lip is kind of a U shape, so I got to tuck this in there, get some strength in that. I'm using an old tie wrap as my basically welding rod for this plastic weld, and I'm heating up the soldering iron right now, and I'm gonna get started right now. Now that I got all the plastic weld done, I'm gonna go ahead and put a layer of the plastic bond, JB Weld Plastic Bond on there, just to give it more strength. I like the way it came out. All this plastic weld that I ended up doing is holding pretty good. It's pretty solid for the most part when you try to flex it and move it. So I'm just reinforcing it with the plastic bond just to give it more strength and survive the next impact it takes. All right, I end up killing the whole bottle of the plastic bond onto here. I put a couple layers of it after the first layer. It's not the prettiest looking layout, but it's on the back side, so nobody really notices. But I made sure to get a good thick layer down there, and also all the way to the edge where there was cracks, just to make sure that it's going to get a nice strong bond. This stuff's rated for about 15 minutes according to the instructions, but I'm just going to let it sit overnight and work on it tomorrow, get some sanding down, and probably kind of a change of plans. I was originally talking about base coat, clear coating it black again, but I think it's just a waste of time, so I'm probably just going to end up sanding the surface off, kind of smooth out the line, maybe hit it with some primer, and then let that dry and just Plastidip it with the black Plastidip, and then some of the metalizer to get it kind of a gunmetal color. All right, it's the next day. It looks like this stuff dried really well. It's hard like plastic and set, so I'm gonna set this up outside and do some sanding on that edge right there I got, and along the crack, and then I'm gonna primer it up. Now that I got it all cleaned off, I'm gonna wipe it off with some medium reducer that I have laying around, just all the edges, and then I'm gonna prime it up. Got it all wiped down with mineral spirit, or not mineral spirits, but reducer. I've sanded the edge. There's still kind of you can still see the crack line from the crack, but I'm gonna go ahead and just prime it. It's not the best prep job in the world, but it'll do for now, just to prep it up, and then maybe I'm thinking that Plastidip will probably fill in a lot of the edges and hide a lot of the rough spots. Right here, these are the high and low spots from where I scraped this part and I just sanded down. I was trying to feather it out so it can look a little better instead of just having the deep spots, but those are where it's scraped. But anyway, I'm gonna prime it up after this. Just using a regular Rust-Oleum self-etching primer that I bought at Walmart to do this. So I've let it dry for about 4 hours. Everything's nice and smooth now. Back, all the little pits I sanded down. You can still kind of see a few of these indentions where I scratched the plastic and the black paint before. So I'm just gonna leave it. I don't really care about that part. As far as where the crack is, you can kind of still see that line where the crack was in the paint. I couldn't sand it down good enough, and some of those spots were pretty tight right there on that corner, so I couldn't get right into that edge when I was sanding, but it's fine. I think when I put the Plastidip on here, it's kind of thick, so it'll hide most of these lines and these spots. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. I'm gonna spray the Plastidip, and I'm gonna spray it straight onto this primer. I was doing some research online, and mycar.com, I think they've got a bunch of YouTube videos on dipping, and one of the things they did was they showed what happens when you dip over primer, and it's fine. I think the only thing it does is it's a little harder to peel off because of it's got a more bite to the primer versus regular clear coat, but other than that, it peeled pretty fine if you ever need to peel it. So I just finished laying about 1 nice wet coat onto here. I'm gonna let it dry for about half an hour like the can says, and then I'm gonna hit it again with the rest of the can, whatever I have left in it. Give it another thin layer on there, and then put some metalizer on it to get it that gunmetal color. Right now, if you look at it, it looks like really orange peely and bumpy, but you know, as with Plastidip, if you used it before, you know it's gonna dry in a matte finish. So all these little bumps and this orange peel looking stuff is all gonna even out once it starts drying. This is just a nice thick wet coat right now. All right, let this baby dry overnight. Everything's nice and smooth and matte and dry now. So as you can see, looks like you can still see the crack right along here, the line of the crack. So oh well, once I get the metalizer on, this is the Plastidip Metalizer that gives it the metallic and gray finish or gunmetal finish. It'll look pretty good. So I've let this thing dry for about 8 or 9 hours now, at least maybe 10 hours. Everything's dry to the touch. You can handle it now. One thing with the Plastidip is right now it feels kind of wet and soft. It's like a sticky, soft feeling, but it's dry to the touch and it can be handled. So I've already taken my bumper off. I'm gonna clean up some of that crap from the last couple months of driving without the lip on it, just to make sure, you know, even with the lip on it, bugs and stuff get stuck between there. But I'm gonna clean that up and then assemble it all together. And there it is. I got it reassembled, got all the nylon bushing things in there for the screws. Got these two self-tappers with the little stops on the back side there, so that you keeps it locked in. The nylon bushings right here that keep those in on the back side of those guys, like kind of like what the OEM lips do. And this one up here, same way. So I'm gonna reassemble the bumper back onto the car and see how it looks. One of the last things putting this back together on my car, I've been having trouble with this side, the tab on the bumper. Last week it broke off right here, and then the bushing and the screw I had right here kind of got ripped out with the metal. So I just have a little piece of tab left. So I'm gonna try to squeeze it in there. I'm just gonna drill a hole and put a little sheet metal screw with a nut on it in there. And that way it'll hold this side of it together. Alright, got everything all drilled out and done. What I ended up finding, I found one of these, a 10mm bolt and nut. I just stuck the bolt through the top into the metal and down into the tab. Now it's nice and solid. It's kind of away from the tire, so the tire won't hit it. So it should hold as long as nothing hits this thing. It's nice and solid now. So if the tire does hit this for some reason, it's probably gonna break this, but at least it's holding and it's not gonna snap out. So I got everything reassembled, bumper all put back together. All the lines are nice and flush now with fixing the tab. The lip is back on, it's looking good. A little repair spot. It didn't come out as seamless as I thought, but at least it's not broke anymore. You can still kind of see the line through the Plastidip, but oh well. It's probably gonna end up breaking again. With the front of this hanging so low, it's gonna eventually get hit again. And I was looking at one of these 3-piece universal lips that I've seen on eBay. So if this breaks again, I'm gonna try that one out, or another one of the 2IS or the 3IS ones, and I'm gonna get the custom fit on here. Like this video, please don't forget to like, share, or subscribe to my channel. I'll be posting up different things I do to this car every time I do it. Thanks for watching.